Morning everyone and welcome to this week's sports podcast. It's Friday the 12th of November 2021 and although we're on an international break at the moment, we've got plenty to get through with plenty of things to look back, especially on the Premier League and the FA Cup for the last week or so, and we've got England games to look forward to as well. So we'll start as usual with the football and we'll look back at last week's Premier League action, and there's been a lot of change in the Premier League in the last 7 days or so, shall we say. At the top of the table, Chelsea 3 points clear at the moment, even though they only managed to draw with Burnley. That was down to the fact that Liverpool suffered a 3-2 defeat at the London Stadium against West Ham, who've now leapfrogged them in the table. So at the top, Chelsea remain top of the table with 26 points, followed by Manchester City, who won the Manchester Derby at Old Trafford 2-0. Comfortable victory for them realistically. Having watched the game, there was never really any doubt about it. Manchester United were disappointing in the match. They're now down to 6. They've been overtaken by Arsenal, who continued their good run of form recently, now up to 5th. Like I say, Man City 2nd, West Ham up 3rd, and Liverpool 4th. At the bottom end of the table, Norwich won the first game of the season, so that doesn't take them off the bottom though. Still, they're level with Newcastle. Newcastle managing a draw at Brighton last Saturday evening. Norwich then fired their manager Daniel Farke. They're still looking for a replacement. The favourites to replace him are currently Frank Lampard and Dean Smith, who was released by Aston Villa last weekend as well after their defeat at Southampton on Friday evening. And he's already been replaced by Steven Gerrard. So Steven Gerrard's the new Aston Villa manager. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Hopefully he can adjust to the life in the Premier League, having spent so much time up at Rangers. I know it's a different kettle of fish. Bringing Gary McAllister with him, so that's a good, from my point of view, that's a positive, because he's been involved with Aston Villa before, he knows the club, so that's a positive. So they're 16th at the moment of Villa, and they'll be looking to kick on and try and move up the table now, depending on how they can gel, whether they can catch the cohesive team under Gerrard. It'll take him a few games to get used to the league, no doubt, but we'll see how it goes. The other, obviously, recent change was Antonio Conte came in, managed his first Premier League game last Sunday and saw another disappointing performance from Tottenham actually. 0-0 draw at Everton, lucky to get a draw, perhaps not a single shot on target during the game. They're 9th in the table at the moment, probably underachieving by their standards. Everton are 11th, again that's probably a little bit below where they'd expect to be as well. One of the surprise packages, well, Brighton's have been a surprise package, they're 7th, but also Crystal Palace are doing well. They've not won that many, they've drawn 6 or 11 games, but they seem to be coming together nicely as a team. They had a good victory last Saturday, 2-0 against Wolves, including a goal from Conor Gallagher, who I think makes quite a bit of difference and looks a very, he's got a lot of potential, future star player I think. Chelsea haven't really made the most of him, they haven't got a place for him in their squad, they've loaned him out and he's done a good job at West Brom, and now he's doing a good job for Crystal Palace as well, so Palace are 10th and doing well. Leicester are only 12th, they're struggling a little bit as well. Leeds have improved a little bit. Brentford seems to have dropped back a little bit from their good start, and they lost at home to Norwich, which was a surprise because, like I say, first game of the season lost for win for Norwich, and then they sacked the manager. But I think generally Norwich fans feel it probably is the right time to change the manager. So all happening, and the action returns next weekend whilst we're on the international break at the moment. So we'll talk about that. England are playing tonight. They're playing Albania. A draw will be enough to see them through to the World Cup in Qatar next November-December time, provided they can beat San Marino in the final game, which you can never say anything's a given, but it should be really. A draw tonight will sort of like kill off any chances Albania have, and also more or less kill off any chances Poland have as well. Poland are 3 points behind England at the moment with 2 games to go, so that's where we stand with that group. In the rest of the World Cup qualifiers, Wales have still got a chance to qualify. They play Belarus tomorrow, and then they've got, I think, Belgium on Tuesday. So they're the two. They've got 2 big games, and they have still got an outside chance of qualifying if things go their way. But they'd need to win both the matches, and they'd also hope that Belgium didn't score any points from their other match. So you suffer the 5 points behind with 2 games to play. It's unlikely, but you never know. Goal difference. Belgium's got 17 goal difference. Wales have got 1. So there's got to be a very outside chance of Wales making it. But they're going to look to overhaul. They're level on points with Czech Republic for the playoff place. So they'll be lucky to get that. Scotland are more or less certain of a playoff place if it can get a decent result tonight. They're playing Moldova tonight, and I think they need a draw. They're 4 points clear of the 3rd place team in the group. the third place team in the group are Israel. So we've had a few tight games with Israel actually. Austria have been disappointing. They're fourth and they're not going to qualify. So Scotland are 7 points behind Denmark. They're through already. They've qualified. So we have a big game this weekend. And one of the big games this weekend is tonight. Italy plays got Switzerland at home tonight. They've both got 2 games left and they're level on points. But they're meeting Italy tonight. And if Switzerland could win, it would surprisingly put Italy in a bit of a pressure to qualify. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. The goal difference are very similar as well. Italy are plus 11 and Switzerland are plus 9. So one other thing I'd like to mention was last night's game, Republic of Ireland against Portugal. It was a 0-0 draw. The draw suits both teams in a way because it means Ireland are going to finish third if it can win the last game. And they've got to try and defeat Luxembourg for third place in the group. Portugal only need a draw now on Sunday in the home match against Serbia to guarantee their qualification for the World Cup as well. So, but to be fair, I watched most of that game and Ireland probably should have won it at the end after Pepe got sent off. Ireland were a better team in the second half anyway. Ronaldo had a couple of chances. He put a header just wide of the post. But other than that, Ireland were the better team and they had a goal disallowed at the end, which looking back on it now, probably should have been a goal. Rui Patricio made a meal of a bouncing ball and the referee blew for a foul and disallowed the ball, which ended up in disallowed the goal for the ball that ended up in the net. But it should have been a goal, I think, and so does Stephen Kenny, the Ireland manager, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the qualification hopes. They've had a disappointing campaign. But yeah, we've still got a chance of third in that group if they can win the last match. When they play Luxembourg, of course. So that's what's happening in the international world. Moving on to elsewhere, the FA Cup is underway for real. The first round took place last weekend, and FC Halifax Town had a thrilling 7-4 victory against Maidenhead at the Shea. The rewards for that victory is a away tie in the second round at Kidderminster, which will be tough, no doubt. Kidderminster having knocked Grimsby out in the first round. They were the former leaders of the National League, they're not anymore, it's the Foreign Wood now, but they were at the top of the table. Had a bit of a dodgy patch of Grimsby actually. But Halifax will be hoping and I think they'll feel confident they can beat Kidderminster, even though Kidderminster had that good result against Grimsby. Town are playing good football at the moment. Not like some of the teams of the past where they've gone to these other lower league teams lower league teams in FA Cup ties and been a little bit timid. I don't think this team's timid at all. I think Pete Wiles got them set with a right mindset, and I'd like to think they'll win that match in the second. I think it's going to be played on the 4th of December. The weekend they would have been at home to Kings Lynn normally, but that's the weekend of the match. I know that the TV games have been announced. I don't think that's one of them. The only one I've heard that's been confirmed for TV, and other people probably know what they all are. Salford are at home to Chesterfield. Salford won last round. They seem to like Salford. It's the Man United connection, isn't it? So they're on. Chesterfield will give them a good game, though. I didn't think Dagenham disgraced themselves in the first round match against Salford, which I actually watched on Monday evening. So there's not a lot of difference between sort of like the middle of the League Two and the top of the Conference National. Some of the players they interchange regularly. You see players that have done well in both leagues. So there's not a lot between the two leagues really. Okay, so like I say, that's what's happening in the FA Cup. In terms of the Conference National League, Halifax don't have a game this weekend. It's their bye week because of the fact that there are 23 teams in the league. We still haven't resolved the situation with regards to Macclesfield when they dropped out of the Football League. So we've still got an uneven number of teams. So there are 2 weeks in the league season where one of the teams misses out, and it's just Halifax's first time this season when they've missed a game. So hopefully they will not lose too much ground on their rivals because they're not playing this weekend. They are on 27 points at the moment. They're 3 points behind the leaders Boreham Wood, ahead of Grimsby on 29 and also Chesterfield on 29. And Bromley, who passed Halifax after their previous midweek win, and Solihull are a point behind. So looking at the table, there are 2 teams that could pass Town tomorrow and put us down to 7 depending on how the results go. And that's Solihull, who are 6th, and Notts County, who are 7th now. Looking at the fixtures for this weekend, just to see, they're not going to both pass them because they're playing each other. Notts County are playing Solihull actually at Meadow Lane tomorrow, so that's going to be one of the other that might pass them. Altrincham against Boreham Wood could be an interesting game. That's at Altrincham, so Moss Lane hosts Boreham Wood, the leaders, and then we've got the TV match, which is Stockport and Bromley. Stockport further down the table they'd like to be. Bromley are doing pretty well. I've got to say they're 4th at the moment, so might be one worth watching that if there's not much else to watch tomorrow, unless you're a Wales fan perhaps, because they play tomorrow night. But yeah, it's it's interesting, the conference, very tight, and some good teams up there, but Wrexham and Stockport still struggling. Wrexham are ninth now, they won 5-0 at Aldershot on Tuesday night, so they're fighting their way back into it, but they're still 7 points behind Town. They have got one game in hand. Stockport also on 20 points, they've got one game in hand, but the difference is Wrexham have got a goal difference of +8 and Stockport have got a goal difference of -1, and they've lost 5, so interesting times at those two clubs. All the money they're laying out, and they're not really doing as well as they should be doing. Grimsby and Chesterfield are doing as well as they probably would expect. Notts County are sort of like so. Wrexham and Stockport not so well. So they're the 5 teams that are sort of like considered to be the big time Charlie teams in our league, the ones with money. So be interested to see how this weekend's games go anyway. So that's it for the football for this week. Now we're going to talk about cricket. We'll start with the positive news that Ben Stokes is going to be in the Ashes, and he's back in training now. But less positive news has been with regards to England being knocked out of the World T20 World Cup. Yes, they lost in the semi-finals to New Zealand by, I think it was 5 wickets in the end. One costly over, unfortunately, from Chris Jordan, probably cost England the game. He conceded, I think, 23 runs at a vital stage in the match after some of the hard work had been done up front by Chris Woakes when he dismissed both Martin Guptill, I think, for 4 and Kane Williamson for 5. So they were two what you class as danger men, but Daryl Mitchell scored 72 to give the victory to New Zealand. We were well supported by Devon Conway as well. So disappointing for England. I think at the end of the day, we can't really complain. They were beaten by a better team on the day. In the other semi-final, Australia beat Pakistan. Pakistan were unbeaten until this game, but again, costly error from Hassan Ali. Who dropped the new Australia's Matthew Wade, and then Wade proceeded to smash 3 sixes in a row for the rest of the over to win the match for Australia. Him and Marcus Stoinis put on a good stand towards the end to see Australia home. So Australia have not been that great, I won't say in the tournament. You never rule them out. They're a bit like Germany at football, Australia. They're always there, and you always think they might win. So it's New Zealand against Australia. So you've got a local derby in the final. Obviously, I'll be cheering for New Zealand. I prefer New Zealand over Australia any day because they're so arrogant. Aussies, they are a great team, but they're arrogant. Some of them are all right, but they just generally think they're better than everybody else. So we need putting back into place, really, don't they? Let's be honest. So that's what's happening in the T20 World Cup. Right, moving on now. Rugby Union. We've got more of the autumn internationals this weekend. I must admit, I didn't really look at the results of last weekend, but England are facing a big game this weekend. They play New Zealand, I think, this weekend, if I'm not wrong. Just going to check that out now. Let's have a look. Sorry, I lied to you. They're playing Australia. Ireland are playing New Zealand. So you got that wrong. That shows how much I know about Rugby Union. Last weekend's results: Scotland beat Australia by 15 points to 13, which is a really good result at Murrayfield. Ireland beat Japan 60 points to 5. England battered Tonga 69-3 at Twickenham. Wales lost a closely contested game against South Africa at the Principality Stadium. They lost 18 points to 23. Italy were 9 against New Zealand's 47. And France beat Argentina at Stade France by 29 points to 20. So, yeah, this weekend Italy play Argentina in Treviso. Scotland play South Africa at Murrayfield. Ireland play New Zealand at the Aviva Stadium. And England play Australia at Twickenham. Then on Sunday we've got Wales against Fiji at the Principality Stadium and France against Georgia in Bordeaux. So I've heard all the games. Obviously I've been looking at these fixtures over the last couple of weeks and sort of like not kept up so well with what's been going on this weekend. I've got to admit Rugby Union is not one of my main sports. I don't really like Rugby Union that much. I prefer Rugby League. Rugby League, talking of Rugby League, Halifax Panthers continue to make signings and they've made some more. I think they've made 11 altogether now. And they've signed Wakefield's at Kyle Wood on a 2-year contract this week, so that's another good signing, I think, for the Panthers. They're looking like they've got a decent squad for next season. My friend Bruce, he's a big rugby league fan. He says his only concern is the turnover of the players, how many have left. Connor Robinson has left this week and surprisingly gone to Doncaster. Some of the players that are leaving are going to play part-time, or they've got jobs, and that's the issue at this level with Championship and Championship 1. The players obviously don't earn enough like they do in the Super League, so they feel they have to have a job or need a job to pay the bills, so that's another issue as well. So that's possibly some of the reason for the turnover as well. So yeah, but they look to be putting together a decent squad, and I'm not sure it's finished yet, but it's all sounding positive for them, but we'll see what happens when the season kicks off. Probably February next year it'll be in the league. So yeah, keep your eye on the Panthers' activity. The best place to keep up with them is on Twitter, really. Okay, so moving on from that, we're now going to look at Speedway, and the Speedway season is completely finished now. It finished last week. The teams are starting to be announced for next season, especially in the Championship. If you look on the British Speedway site, it confirms what the average rules are for next season. I think in the Premier League, it's going to be, in the Premiership, it's going to be 6 riders up to an average total combined team building average of 39, plus a rising star. So that will allow some of the teams from this year to keep the majority of the core of the team they had without too much disruption. That'll please Peterborough, who won the title, obviously. So they were worried that they'll have to dismantle their team. That'll probably allow them to keep. I don't think it allows them to keep them all, but pretty much, well, what's left, because obviously Bjarne Pedersen's retired, and Wolves likewise, Rory Schline's retiring, but the rest of the riders they probably want to keep. Bellevue will be making a change because obviously Dan Bewley's not going to be riding in England next season after his signing for Smederna in Sweden, but I would suggest that Max Frick may well come in. It may also allow them to keep Brady Kurtz if they wish to do so. So that's what's going on there. In the Championship, Ricky Wells has signed for Berwick, and Bradley Wilson-Dean, New Zealand international, has signed for Newcastle. He's making a return to British racing, so welcome back, Bradley. Oxford are going to be back in action next season. Well, it was mooted that they would definitely be racing next season, and they've confirmed they will be in the Championship next year, so welcome back to Oxford. Looking forward to possibly going there again. It's a track I always used to like going to, so it'd be nice to visit it again at some point in the future if possible. That's what's going on in the world of Speedway. In the world of stock cars, we've got the final round of the National Shootout Series, which unfortunately for me means I can't go because it's been moved from the Bradford Odsal Stadium to Sheffield due to track conditions. There was I won't go into the details of last weekend, but there were problems with the track at a big event at Odsal. We had a firework display and the monster trucks were supposed to be on, which didn't take part because of the state of the track by the sounds of it. The racing wasn't very good. People were walking out, children were bored, everybody's crammed into one area of the stadium. Promoter Steve Reese has now announced his retirement from promoting the stock cars. He said he was going to retire originally end of next year, but I think for all the stuff that had to go through his season and the effort he's put in, I think he maybe feels that he's bit off a bit more than he could chew, but at least he got a good day for his world final, so he'll be happy with that, and he's done a good job, so I ain't going to fault him on that. We do get meetings. I was disappointed with the previous meeting when the track was terrible and I walked out before the end, but if they work on it, and it's typical with shale really in stock car racing, sometimes it takes a while to bed in the tracks, the shale tracks, maybe 3 or 4 seasons sometimes it takes for them to bed in, so hopefully it won't be that long of Odsal. We just need to stick with it. There have been some good meetings there this season when it has been dry. It's just that the weather's not been so good the last couple of meetings, and that's been a problem. So hopefully it'll be back bigger and stronger. I'm not sure if the Christmas meeting will go ahead or not. There's one scheduled for the 27th of December. Whether that's going to take place or not, I'm not sure. So, but keep your eyes on the local press and the Brisker BSCDA F1 Twitter site for details on that. Okay, I think that's about wraps up this week. So I think we've gone through everything that I need to go through. If I've missed anything, I apologise. If any comments you'd like to make below, just put them in the comments on the YouTube side or on Twitter, on Facebook. But obviously I share this video too every week. I'd just like to thank everybody again for the continued support. It's good to see that people are still looking and reading and watching this. Sometimes it dips a little bit. It tends to be when there's a half-term school holiday when my viewing figures go down. But obviously it's kept me going. I've been going not far off a year now. It started in January, so I'm pleased that I'm still doing it. I'm glad people want to watch it, like I say. And like I say, that's it for now, and I'll be back next Friday with a roundup of the sporting action for the forthcoming week. Until then, bye from me.